Oh man, why is the bench such a mess? For past several months, I've been kind of really limited on the space around here. Realistically, this is like all I had to work in, just this little area right here. And there's a clip where you can actually see that like my car was just kind of directly behind me. An unused clip of when I was doing the unboxing of that stuff I ordered from Adafruit like back in December. And I mean, I've kind of been working on cleaning up around here, and the bench has just kind of become like a catch-all for a bunch of random things, and every once in a while I know how to work on something, so I kind of just know how to push things out of the way here. And there we go, there's my work surface. I've been planning on doing this for a long time now, just kind of doing sort of like a mashup video of a bunch of like little bits and pieces of stuff that I didn't really think like was going to be like an entire video or anything like that. Here we go. We're looking at the back here of an old 12-year-old plasma TV made by Samsung, and you can hear it click on when you hit the power button, but there's no display and nothing else really happens. I believe there's just some bad solder joints. They're kind of cracked around some of the power components, and some of the output voltages aren't present, so I have a feeling it's somewhere in here. And this power supply is not terribly complicated. It seems pretty straightforward, but what I want to show you guys here is something that I found kind of particularly interesting when I removed the power supply and I flipped it over. There was a big clump of hatchlings right here this morning, but I couldn't take care of it right then because we had to go run some errands. But now it looks like they have spread all over the car. There's oh, that one actually looks like a cobweb spider right there. But anyways, they were kind of going up the side here on the door, and there's one right there. Kind of hard to focus on it because they're so tiny. You can see them crawling around. They come up this way. There's a few right there. This is an amaryllis bulb my mom actually gave me a few years ago, and every year it's pretty much bloomed. But this year I'm especially happy because it actually has two stalks coming up, and it's the first time it's ever done this. I'll show some pictures of what it's done in years prior. And I think this year it did especially well because I'm using my own special blend of compost that I've made. So I'm actually quite happy about this one. And I've read before that these, I guess, only want like partial sunlight, but this one likes it in this spot. Does pretty well in this spot here, and it actually gets sunlight most of the day. So pretty good. These have already been, they bloomed a few days ago, so they're kind of on their way out. Bet you didn't know how to green thumb, did you? Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, you can see a little bit of jerkiness. Okay. Oh, you gonna take off? There. What are you doing? Take it off. I'll take it off. There we go, there we go. It's manual flight simulator. Okay, I lost this now. On the back here, nothing too exciting going on, except there's this label here. Didn't think much of it right then and there, but when I looked a little closer, they left a staple right here on the very corner of that label. And luckily it doesn't look like it's shorted anything out, but as you can see, it's pretty, it's right there, you can see it's actually pretty close to some of those components, and it looks like there's just some power resistors right there. And where it's at, it wouldn't have directly shorted anything out, even if it would have made contact with the board. So I think they kind of got lucky there, but geez, I mean, for them to kind of miss something like that on especially on a board like this where some of those are pretty high voltages, like here's a VA, and that right there, according to the TV, the label on the back of the actual display should be about 79 volts. So luckily that didn't short anything out. So I'll probably be removing that and touching up whatever else might be an issue with some solder joints and stuff. Right there, you can see a couple right there, actually three right there. So they're just going everywhere. Oh, there we go. Here's more. See that right there? There's like 5 of them crawling across that one thin piece of web right there, and then there's like another clump of them right here. Kind of hard to see, but there they are right there. Probably one of the weirdest things I've ever seen in a piece of electronics. You see this? The plastic? looks like it's wet. Well, I guess in a sense it sort of is, but it's not that it got wet. This stuff is actually leaking from the plastic itself. If you look in my car right here in this area where there's supposed to be a motor, you might be able to notice that there is no motor. At some point you may have asked yourself, the workbench, or Alex, whatever you want to call me, what do you do when you're not sitting here working on videos? Well, try to do some house chores, like trying to fix this thing, for example. Right now I'm in the process of putting it back together, and I have this is a oil gallery plate that's actually supposed to go right here. You can kind of see right there where the opening is. Well, there wasn't anything wrong with this. I'm actually just replacing a gasket on this because they are known to fail. I just recently received this new gasket for it. This is actually a metal gasket, and I ordered this from Nis Foreman's right here, and it comes with some really nice instructions. Actually, it's like comes in like a cardstock paper, and I'm actually pretty impressed by this one. Yes. Is it that airplane right there?
Which side should I do? This side or the other side?
This side without the airplane, probably.
Oh, this one just you take off right here.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Wow, everything's three-dimensional model. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What?
No, go ahead.
Come on, take off.
I'm trying to keep it steady. This is as fast as it goes. No!
Really?
Yeah, I can't. I can't.
Get out of the stroller. I cannot move.
For some reason, it won't go any faster than that.
You won't.
Wait, where's the beach?
Right there.
There's one right here. I'm pretty sure this one came as a stowaway underneath my car. I'll show you why. You can see my car sitting here up on this jack stand right now, and he decided, or she decided, to make a web right here between my toolbox, the vehicle, and the jack stand. There's a bunch of that like really messy webbing kind of going on there, so let me carefully try to get over here so as not to disturb it. Oops, never mind. There it goes. Ah, there she goes. And it's not just in one spot, it's like everywhere. All the plastic is leaking. And if we look down here underneath this power supply, you can see where it's kind of like leaked down and started corroding the metal. So not only is it corroding the metal though, it's also affecting the board. Yeah, some of it has gotten on this controller up here for the actual LCD itself. And the weird part is that you can wipe it and clean it, but eventually it comes back. So it's just like continuously seeping out of the plastic. And as I've mentioned, I've never seen anything like this. So does anybody out there have any idea what this could possibly be? It's kind of brownish. I mean, it could also be from just kind of like attracting dust, but yeah, it looks pretty bad. Anyways, it's a lot better than the paper stuff. So you take that gasket, and according to the instructions, you're supposed to spray it with like some of this stuff, this copper spray. Just my luck. I'm not even joking about this. I just bought this at the store the other day, and it was the last can they had on the shelf. And you know, I'm happy. I'm like, oh cool, you know, I got it. Now I can finish this thing. Well, I just opened this today. I opened it. I had not looked at it previously. It's missing the nozzle. I'm not trying to pull a fast one or anything. I swear, this is how it was. I opened it up, no nozzle. Anyways, yeah, that's an example of the kind of luck that I have. As if I didn't have enough pending projects and just other things in general that I gotta fix. The top side of my truck here, she's getting kind of saggy. So I'm gonna have to do something about that. As you can see, there's quite a few spots here where it's just kind of on the baggy side, and it's just overall annoying because it kind of hits you in the head. So I'm gonna have to be replacing this. And I guess this is kind of a common problem with Dakotas, which this one's like a 2003. You can see right here where it's getting kind of pulled. Yeah, so it's bad. Looks like I gotta remove some screws here. I gotta remove this pillar right here. Oops, sorry, not meaning to blind you with the sunlight there. Gotta remove this pillar here on the side. While I'm at it, I'm probably gonna find a better way to mount this microphone. Maybe like something, I don't know, maybe something like actually in the headliner. That is just really crazy underneath. I don't know where the spider actually went now. Somewhere in there.
Oh, anyways, back to this thing. So the original problem is that this tensioner failed on me. You might be able to see right here that the chain was actually kind of like rubbing off to the side because this thing became all like cocked sideways. What happened was there's supposed to be a little valve in here that allows oil into this chamber. If I can show you here real quick, I'll just pull this pin out. There's a little chamber in here that's supposed to be filled with oil. This is like a cylinder, and that's how it pressurizes this guide here to, you know, hold pressure against the chain, like the one that's like sitting back here, the smaller chain. And that right there sitting in the bag, that would be my original motor. I don't have the valve covers on or any of the bottom stuff. It's just like the block and the two heads. So that's kind of sitting there until I can, you know, get around to working on it. You can see right there where some of this stuff got that. It corroded some of those traces and they're just kind of like falling apart. But these don't actually go to anything. It looks like they're just connected to this big, possibly ground plane right here. So these aren't affecting anything. But there are some other spots where some of that stuff looks like it could be affecting things. That little area there. And it might be hard to tell, but that liquid has also kind of gotten onto this little ribbon right here, this flat flex. Looks like there might be some right there. I can't tell for sure. Right there, you can see the little shiny blobs have gotten onto that ribbon. So it's like it's leaking from the plastic, but possibly also kind of spraying. It's just so weird. Not quite done yet, but I've got most of everything put back in. I still need to fill up the fluids, and the battery's not in the car yet. It's supposed to go over there. These are the two old stocks. They're all over and done with, but here comes the new ones. Or, well, new leaves. So other than that, the only other things I have left to do is just torque down some bolts to specs, and I should be able to try to give it a test go. And then while I'm at it, I also want to polish the headlights. Since I have it up here and I'm not planning on moving anywhere, I'm just going to remove them. I'm going to try following the procedure I saw on one of Chris Fix's videos, which they actually turned out pretty good, so I'm going to try that myself. Mine aren't as, I don't think they're as bad as the one that he showed, but they are kind of so I do want to get them cleaned up a bit. Let's take a look underneath the scaler board. Oh, found her. She's right there. Let me see if I can zoom in here. There she is right there. Yeah, you can see her. Okay, it's all put back together, ready to try to start it up again for the first time. I hope nothing goes wrong. Alright, here we go. It's the first start after putting everything back together and knows if it's going to work or not. You think it's going to work?
Yeah, like these pipes, like everything.
It's going to work?
Like every pipe does that every time.
Okay, we'll find out.
It says like the...
Okay, we'll find out. There's no evidence of anything really on the board itself. That just kind of looks like some flux residue from when it was cleaned. But on the metal, on the edge, you can kind of see where there's that liquid stuff, right? In that spot right there, you can see it. And in some areas, like down here, easier if you look at it from the other side, you can see where the metal is starting to corrode. As you can see up here at the top, I got it for 10 bucks. Okay, here we go. There's the rattle from the chain tensioners, that's normal. So we got to keep it idling for 3 minutes. And then after that, I have to rev it up to like 3,000 or 2,500 or something like that to try to purge the rest of the air out of it. So, fingers crossed, let's hope it stays working.
last night and you woke up all
It's like the party underneath your cup.
Yep, I still hear rattle, but that should go away after a bit. Okay, I think it's been running for a little over 3 minutes now, so now I gotta go rev it up to 3,000 RPM for a few seconds to hopefully purge the rest of the air out of there, because you can still hear the clicking in there. And there, most of the rattle's gone. I think there might still be a little bit of air in there. You can still kind of hear it, but I gotta check the oil level. So, looking good so far. Man, that is only the first step so far. I've only hit it with the first round of 400 grit sandpaper. You can already see that this one here, all the yellowing is gone. This is the one that I haven't touched yet, so you can still see that the plastic is still kind of yellowed, but it's looking so much better already. I'm pretty impressed so far. After topping the oil off and doing the 3,000 RPM procedure again, now it sounds so much nicer. And it sounds way better than it did when I had the bad tensioner. My radiator popped. Yay! Ooh, look at that lovely crackle effect on the clear coat. Nice! But not really. Alright, well this was sort of kind of disappointing. This crackling effect that's on here is really not that appealing. It's really bad. However, in my searches I did come across another method that gave me way better results on the first try. I had already done both headlights, and I ended up sanding this one back down with the 400, and then I had to do 800 because that's what I have, and then I did 2000. So I already sanded this back down. As you can see, there's no more clear coat. The clear coat though kind of left a little bit of a texture on some of this here. I think it sort of attacked the plastic because it does have acetone in it. But as you can see, this side here was completely clear and shiny. Not as good as I would kind of want, but it's way better than it used to be. So what did I do for this? I used this stuff and a polishing pad on a handheld sander. This stuff's just leaking everywhere, like even behind the reflector of the LED backlighting and the plastic. Alright, so as you can see, this one here is still hazy because I haven't touched this side at all. And this side is the only one I tested it on just to see how it would do. So I'm going to, just to show you that there's actually nothing on here, I'm going to spray it with alcohol. You can see that when you spray alcohol and it gets like super shiny. And I'm just going to wipe it off. And it's just going to get hazy again once the alcohol starts drying off. Alright, now I'm going to get this mag and aluminum polish stuff. I'm just going to put a little bit on here. Just going to kind of spread it around at random. And I'm not going to cut any of this out. I'm just going to do it all in one shot so you can see that I'm not really fooling you here. I was actually really surprised by how easy this was. I mean, it was so much easier than having to sand the whole thing down. And I mean, even though I had to, because I had already put the clear coat on there and I had to remove it off, or I had to remove it somehow. So I ended up having to sand it all over again. My arm was like super sore, and I'm gonna have to do the same with that other one to get it all cleaned up again. Just using this stuff on the headlight itself doesn't really work. I tried it on here. As you can see, this also has crackling. This is one of the fog lights, and while it looks pretty good and it's actually quite clear, even more clear than the other headlights, there's still that crackling effect. So I'm gonna get rid of it, and I'm just gonna use this stuff. I'm not sure if maybe this is a slightly different type of plastic and that's why this one looks so much clearer or what, but I mean, if it wasn't for that crackling effect, it would look really good. But yeah, well, whatever, what are we gonna do? So anyways, alright, so I've got that sitting there. I'm gonna put this pad on there. I'm gonna get the sander, and unfortunately this one doesn't have a speed adjustment, which kind of sucks because it goes a little bit violent on the on the headlight, but it works, and it actually doesn't really do too bad at all. So here we go. Alright, so as you can see, it still looks a little bit hazy, but that's because there's still a little bit of the material on it. Watch what happens when we wipe it off. Oops, let's move this out of the way here. It looks so much better. Like way better than it did. You can still see that the lights here, the reflection off the lights is still a little bit hazy. That's because there's still like a bunch of little tiny micro scratches on the surface of the plastic. So unfortunately, unless I buff the crap out of it, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to really get rid of all that. But let's see here compared to the other one. Yeah. And the surface of that compared to the surface of that. Much better. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sand the rest of the lights and just buff them up with that stuff. And then what they suggested was, after you do that, this stuff, it actually came in a bubble wrap in the mail and bag inside another bag. And this is called 303. It's a UV protectant. I've never used this stuff before, so I'm going to try it out. So after, polishing the headlights, we're supposed to spray this on there, and it's supposed to help protect against UV. Okay.
Here you go. Why is this as fast as it goes? I thought it went faster last time.
I thought it went way faster, yeah.
Yeah, it's like lagging all kinds.
They probably killed it. They're like, hey, they're using it for the wrong reason. Let's stop this. Really? You can't push it like any faster?
No, that's the best it'll go.
That's lame.
Oh well, using it for the wrong reasons.
Last time though, we took off and Alex was like,
Yeah, it's like taking forever. It was like easier last time.
wait, there you go. That's
It's
what.
just because I'm higher this time, but
What the heck?
then